Welcome back to Wimbledon. We're now out on court one. Our first appearance of Richard Matuszewski, the long shot American from Lutz, Florida, the 28-year-old, against two-time Wimbledon champion Stefan Edberg. Edberg was broken by Matuszewski in the first game of the match, but he has broken back, and it's Matuszewski at 4-5, a point away from 5-all. And he's at 5-all.
Richard Matuszewski grew up in the Poughkeepsie, New York area. He's one of those melting pot stories. His parents both got out of Poland during the tough communist days, met in the United States, didn't know each other until they got to the United States. His father, Ted, is an engineer, taught Richard tennis on a court in the backyard.
15 love.
You could probably get a good bet on a Richard Matuszewski Andrew Foster final. So.
Well, it's a beautiful story.
Are you making book? I mean, let us know.
Yeah, I'll give you good odds.
Matuszewski is 117th in the world. He's 28 years old.
You got to give Richard a lot of credit, though. He was out of the game for a couple of years with injuries. He's fought his way back to 117, and his best appearance ever, as we see here, beating Chucky Adams from California, a 9-7 in the fifth. Olivier Delettre, 6-3 in the fourth, and Javier Fran.
That's a good win. Left-handed Argentine on grass. He's a good grass court player.
This will probably put his ranking at least in the top 100 and allow him to get straight into some other events this summer and perhaps even the U.S. Open.
Have you played Matuszewski?
I played him a few years ago, yes.
Big server, isn't he?
Good server.
40 love.
The other guy's not bad. Who's the other guy?
The other guy's not a bad serve volley.
Stefan Edberg, who lives and trains here in London. That's his fifth ace. One other line on Matuszewski. Coming into Wimbledon this year, he had won a total of one match all year. And here he is in the final 16, and he will be serving to stay in the opening set with Stefan Edberg when we return.
Edberg leads 6-5, first set.
Richard Matuszewski and Stefan Edberg. Matuszewski serving 15 love and an ace 30. But check that scoreboard. We have to go with an IBM scoreboard. 30 love Matuszewski. And
well, that's the problem, huh?
First ace.
And now 30 love.
A few years ago at the U.S. Open, he played Bull Denton. Remember?
Steve Denton.
Yeah, the Texan.
Not the original Bull, though.
No, and they had more than 50 aces between them. They were just bombing at each other.
We should add the original Bull is Cliff Ritchie.
That's right. He's become a golfer. I didn't think he was old enough.
Important for Stefan Edberg to win this first set, simply so that Richard Matuszewski really doesn't believe he has much of a chance to win this.
Edberg has struggled. He was broken 6 times by Chris Wilkinson in his last round.
You see here he struggled in his first round match against Greg Ruzetsky of Canada. Tight 4-set match. Played his best match against Amos Manzarek, perhaps the best player he's played so far. Struggled, as you said, against Chris Wilkinson. Now we see here down an early break, trying to break again and win this first set.
Good play.
There's that Edberg quickness, though. Very, very smooth. Probably the smoothest player in the game from the baseline to the net. Here he hits that patented forehand down the line. He shovels it, hits it a little late, and he just jumps on that volley. Watch this. He catches it a little bit later than most players, and there's what he does better than anybody.
Thing of beauty, that high backhand volley, and now a set point for Edberg. Let me qualify 1 point on Matuszewski. He has won 1 Pro Tour match all year, but he's been out in the boonies and the satellite circuit, and he's made some money. He's won some matches there, $35,000 for the year. If he, well, he's already earned almost that much by being into the 4th round of Wimbledon. If he goes on, he'll almost double the package.
Well, those satellites and challengers are like the minor leagues, trying to work your way up to the ATP Tour.
Ooh, that hit the baseline. A tough chance for Matuszewski. Second set point, Edberg.
Clearly a lot of money for Richard Matuszewski, but the excitement, as we see here, for his first appearance in a Grand Slam round of 16 is where his head is at.
And he's got Edberg in the cemetery. Court 2.
They played twice before, Edberg winning both.
She's good serves on set points.
Well, as we all know, at least any tennis fan knows, Stefan a little bit weaker off the forehand side. We watched Richard Matuszewski serving. Jumps up well to the ball. 2 big serves to save 2 set points.
Well, Richard was an All-American at Clemson.
Matuszewski.
Oh, my.
Well, Stefan Edberg is known around the circuit for his great backhand, both at the net and in the baseline. Here he is, great preparation. Stays down well for the ball. Goes cross court. Matuszewski guesses wrong.
Did you try to play Edberg to the forehand wing when you had a choice?
Yes, I did.
Again, a big service winner for Matuszewski. He's 6'2", 170 pounds.
Well, he improved his forehand quite a bit, though, we should add. And that shovel forehand that doesn't look that pretty is very effective because it's hard to tell where it's going.
Game, Matuszewski.
And Matuszewski with an ace forces Edberg into a first set tiebreak. Stefan Edberg, a man who feels a part of this Wimbledon history and feels very confident about another title at the All England Club.
Wimbledon suits me well. I've played some good tennis here before, and I feel this year I have a good chance because I've played a lot of tennis lately. I played a lot on the clay court season, which really builds you up for Wimbledon. So there could be a good year this year.
So Edberg crediting his clay court experience this year, helping him, and that is many of those who duck clay courts. Perhaps that is a foundation that helps you.
Well, certainly his legs look bigger than ever, but look at this forehand return by Richard Matuszewski. Stefan does have a great draw, playing Richard Matuszewski, an unseeded player. Another 2 unseeded players, Wally Masur and Cedric Pioline, who play the winner of this match. Well, that's not a bad forehand return either. This is where Stefan Edberg improved his forehand. He cut back his backswing just a little bit, shortened it up, pays good dividends.
Oh, bad judgment.
It lands on the sideline. 2-1 Edberg.
2-1 Edberg.
Took a little bit off that return. Smart play, but as you said, Bud, Richard should have gone after that ball. Too close to leave alone. Beautiful mover around the court, Stefan Edberg.
So 3 points, all by the returner. Good half volley by Edberg to save that point. 3-1.
3-1 Edberg.
Look at Edberg's draw in the bottom half, and Ferrer and Courier would be an opponent down the line, but the seeds were knocked out early in Edberg's quarter.
No other seeds, and Jim Courier clearly not at his best on grass, and Wayne Ferrer a bit up and down. So a great opportunity for Edberg if he plays at the top of his game to get to the finals. I'm sure Richard Matuszewski wishes that serve wasn't a let.
Boy.
Tomas Muster and Andrei Medvedev, Ivan Lendl were all in Edberg's half.
And even if they'd stayed, you wouldn't call that a tough half.
Now, he did get the fortunate draw and expressed that early on.
You look
Double
at the top
fault.
half, you have Pete Sampras, Andre Agassi, Richard Krajicek, Boris Becker, and Michael Steek still in the event. Very tough top half.
7 double faults for Stefan.
I saw Ivan Blumberg, his manager, yesterday at the Arthur Ashe charity dinner, which you did a great job hosting, Bud, by the way.
Thank you.
And he said that Stefan's been complaining a little bit about his shoulder. He's talked about playing a lot of tennis, says his shoulder's been bothering him some. Certainly his legs appear to be very fit. But that's, I think, causing some of his problems off the serve. But Stefan typically understated, as we saw in that interview. He said, well, if I play good, I have somewhat of a good chance. And, well, we all know he's won it a few times before.
Time now for our Xerox Sports Facts question today. Who holds the record? Most aces, 42, and that's in a single match here at Wimbledon.
That's a tough question.
It is tough.
And he lost the match, too.
Lost the match, that's right.
So Matuszewski changing ends. His second service point at 3-all. Opening set. They're out on court 2.
First service.
John Johnson, who's covering the tournament for Newsday, said they ought to have some plaques out here like Yankee Stadium, like little tombstone markers for all the people who have been upset in the cemetery. Wow, you like that miss hit, John?
As I said, he meant to do it.
4-3.
They should probably put the plaques in the back for the people that have gotten out of the graveyard court, not the people that are lost there. We see the replay here. Guess is right. Knew all he had to do was get it over the net on the other side, so he could afford a bit of a miss hit.
So 3 points for Matuszewski.
He apologized after he did it, but I'm sure he wasn't too sorry about it.
Do you go to confession after making those apologies on net courts?
Absolutely, every time.
Just long. 4-all. I couldn't sleep last night, Bud Collins, after learning it all year long, I'd say, with the shot last year at Wimbledon. There was the shot of the championship. McEnroe deep into that 1917 fifth set, lobbing that beautiful forehand deep in the corner. You couldn't have run over and thrown it in better. And then he tells us yesterday it was a miss hit.
That was off camera.
Ooh, net cord.
For Edberg. Let's take this moment to answer our Xerox Sports Facts question.
Edberg.
42 aces by John Fever, Great Britain, 1976.
He had the fever that day against John Newcomb. Played it on court 1. He just kept ace, ace. And then Newcomb started turning to the press row and saying, how many's that now? How many's that now? Mike Lupick and I were sitting there, and we'd give him the tally.
Newcomb would make it more than entertaining, wouldn't he? How many for Kevin Curran out there on court 2 that year?
33 against Jimmy Connors.
It only seemed at like 50 or 60 to Jimmy.
Matuszewski struggling to hold that point. 5-all.
So Stefan hits a good low return. Good pickup by Matuszewski. Right inside the line. Stefan having to scramble here. Matuszewski chooses to go in the middle of the court, which is usually a good play, but Stefan was there, able to win the point. 5-all.
Oh, this long shot, 117th in the world. Matuszewski.
Ooh.
There's that Edberg movement again, though.
Doesn't let that ball bounce. No matter where he is. That was from about 4 feet inside the well, and we'll see.
On any surface, but especially on grass. You don't want to get a bad bounce. Stefan Edberg, very smart competitor.
That gives him his 3rd set point. Edberg serving for it and the set. So the 27-year-old Swede, in quest of his third Wimbledon championship, has a set lead on the underdog, Richard Matuszewski.
Advantage Edberg.
Back at Wimbledon, the bright sunshine beaming down on court 2, where Stefan Edberg won that first set tiebreak against the long shot Richard Matuszewski. Edberg serving at 4-1, a point away from 5-1.
Well, Dick, I think what's happened here to Richard Matuszewski is what I was saying at the end of the tiebreaker. Once Stefan Edberg won that, the tide really turned in his favor. He's now up 2 breaks in the second set. As you said, 1 point to go up 5-1.
He's a beautiful athlete to watch at the net. 5-1 Edberg.
Edberg leads 5
Great
games to 1.
athleticism here by Stefan Edberg. Watch this shot right here. Beautiful stretch, nice touch cross guard for the winner. Here we see him get up nicely for the serve. He's got a little bit of a strange serve, hits the ball behind his shoulder, which is unusual for most players. Usually throw the ball, a right-hander throw the ball more out to his right. He has a tendency to come and hook it over his head.
I don't think we talk about Edberg's footwork enough. I mean, he always looks in position to make the shot. He's always so smooth. I mean, it really is a ballet form. Every move seems so much in control.
Classic movement, especially on grass courts. Really beautiful to watch.
He's not too bad on the asphalt at Flushing Meadow either.
Amazing effort last year.
Wasn't that incredible? Long, tough matches, one after another.
A breakdown in the 5th set to Richard Krajicek.
Lendl had a chance to beat him.
5-setter against Ivan Lendl. Look at his career Grand Slam singles record. Amazing record. That's basically 5 wins for every 1 loss.
He's playing his 41st consecutive Grand Slam tournament, which is a record.
I'm wondering, let's see, Edberg, McEnroe, what they would be head-to-head. What do you think, Bud? What's your guess?
Gee, that's a good question.
What's my guess?
What do you think?
Yeah, why don't you
I'd say 7-6 McEnroe.
You know, I was going to say that.
Never give him another chance, John.
You better believe it, Bud. You're absolutely right. I don't want to mention he won about 6 of the last 7, or at least 5 of the last 6. We see a good low return by Stefan Edberg. Once again, the half volley too short. Too many options for Stefan there. 2
points from 6-1 and a 2-set lead.
Well, Dick, you were talking about that movement. That was a great example of it. However, when he finally did get there, surprisingly, he hit a sort of a soft shot to Richard Matuszewski. I'm not sure if he meant to do something else here. See Matuszewski hitting the drop volley. Just sat the ball up. Luckily, Richard's a nice guy, or he might have put a hole in Stefan's stomach. And also, Stefan, obviously, one of the nicest guys on the tour, so.
A break for Matuszewski off the net cord. And he holds. Edberg leads 5-2 up a set. 5-2 Edberg in the second. And we'll return to our live coverage from Wimbledon. But first, these words. Edberg took the opening set in a tiebreak, 7-5, and leads 5-2, 30 love here in the second.
Solid reflex volley here by Stefan Edberg.
How about the foot faulting? Every year at Wimbledon, we get into that whole hassle that Edberg is guilty of walking on the line. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think he does foot fault, but I think he's told by Tony Picard not to let it bother him.
He did there.
40-15.
And he's sort of, it's like going into a match knowing you're going to double fault, say 5 or 10 times. He knows he's going to get called for a certain amount of foot faults. Watch as we see here. Bud claims he did foot fault on this point.
Well, look at the right foot and the left. I think he did, but he may have been just off the ground.
He's very, very close, as you can see, on every serve.
Surely gives him a sprinter start into the court.
Well, Ted Schroeder.
Sometimes you wonder why he wouldn't just stand maybe 1 inch behind him to give himself that safety margin.
Oops.
Instead of having to go through every match where he killed 3, 5, 10 foot faults.
Ted Schroeder says they ought to go back to the old rule, and I agree with
Game,
you.
second set.
Edberg wins the second set, and he's rolling now, up 2 sets to love against Richard Matuszewski. So the Cinderella story of Matuszewski apparently going to come to an end against the 2-time Wimbledon champion. Let's go back to center court where moments ago out on court 2, match point for the 2-time champion Stefan Edberg against Richard Matuszewski, who gave Edberg an early scare, took him to a tiebreak. Edberg won that tiebreaker, and there's match point Edberg as he defeats Matuszewski 7-6, 6-2, 6-2. Edberg is through. He's in the bottom half, and Courier could be a possible semifinal opponent.
7-6.
That's a great opportunity for both players, Dick. Stefan.